Queenslander is now your full-time caller at Hollywood Park.
He is our full-time caller, came here again. He started out many years ago when Marge Everett brought him in and took off, went to Chicago, a few other racetracks, and is happily ensconced in Santa Monica, California by the sea and calling again at Hollywood Park, one of the best announcers in the country, in my humble opinion.
And has he brought any Vegemite for you to try?
I actually did try it. We were all at a bar once down in Manhattan Beach, and they forced me to taste it. And I guess I need to develop a taste for it, maybe like caviar, but it wasn't quite my thing, I'll tell you that much. But the horses are going up to the gate right now. Maybe we can throw it up to Michael as he brings the horses up to the gate. Michael Wrona.
Sleepaway Camp coming up now towards the inside. Sleepaway Camp edging up to gate 1. Spirited Silver's up close to the gate. Here's She's a Gamble coming along. Memory. Spirited Silver has light blue with a white cap. The 8-5 top wagering choice. Lady de Fox approaching gate 3. Cara Non is set. Heaven Came Down joining the line. Ying Ying, yellow with blue sleeves, the 2-1 second choice. And the last couple, Smart Wife and Bright Magic. Almost ready. 6 furlongs. Set to go. Racing. She's a Gamble away nicely, being matched early by Ying Ying. Spirited Silver showing speed, and Sleepaway Camp going fast along the inside. Sleepaway Camp now draws to the lead by a length to Ying Ying, a length to Spirited Silver, and another one, Memory. 4th on the inside of Bright Magic, 2 to She's a Gamble. Then Cara Non outside Smart Wife, a length and a half to Heaven Came Down, and 10 to Lady de Fox, who's almost 20 behind the flying hooves of Sleepaway Camp. A slippery debutante indeed. A Sleepaway Camp, a length on Ying Ying as they make the far turn. The Spirited Silver striding up 3 wide within a length of the lead, and 3/4 to Bright Magic, parked out 4 wide. 2 lengths Memory, 5th near the rail. 3 lengths to Heaven Came Down, followed by She's a Gamble inside Cara Non. 5 to Smart Wife, and 6 lengths Lady de Fox. Into the stretch, and Ying Ying is the leader, overtaking Sleepaway Camp, but has company. Spirited Silver now tackling Ying Ying. It's Ying Ying by a head at the 8th pole from Spirited Silver, and a half-length Bright Magic, and Heaven Came Down is joining in. 4 abreast. Ying Ying, Spirited Silver, out wide. Heaven Came Down swoops upon the lot and is coming away. Heaven Came Down to win it by 2 lengths. Spirited Silver. Ying Ying nosing Bright Magic for 3rd, clear of Memory. Then She's a Gamble and Sleepaway Camp, followed by Lady de Fox, Cara Non, and Smart Wife last to complete the course.
Well, there we go. The number 9, Heaven Came Down, 7% sire, but remember, a 1:11.4 work at 6 furlongs or 1,200 meters is not something to take lightly. He just seemed much the best in this race. The number 7, Spirited Silver, did hold that second, did not get that lead as initially anticipated because the 1-horse Sleepaway Camp broke from that rail after that fast 59-1 first timer. We're looking at the number 9, Heaven Came Down, with Garrett Gomez winning it over the number 7, Spirited Silver, and Alex Solis. 3rd place, the number 4, Ying Ying, for Chris McHerron. Decent
9, 7,
time
and 4.
of 1:10.2.
Garrett Gomez, win strike rate stays up there, 18%, and Heaven Came Down the outside, a fast closer, as Joanne would say, coming down the outside. Gee, it was a frenetic battle up front, wasn't it, Tony?
It was. It set the race up for a swooper like that, didn't it, Brendan? And Garrett Gomez, he is the second leading rider over there at the moment, so yeah, he's right on Alex Solis's tail.
The horse was actually quite green in action, I thought, around a furlong from home, 200 metres from home.
Yep, first time out, that's understandable. She's still got plenty to learn about the caper, but there's a lot of natural talent there, isn't there?
I think Joanne mentioned the sire Summing as a young sire with a 7% win ratio. Now this is it coming down the outside, head up in the air, quite a high head action, but once it knuckles down with Garrett Gomez's whip in the left hand, it's a nice run.
Yeah, stretched out in good style. Verbatim, the grandsire of this horse was a very talented horse. I think he got up to middle distances, so you would expect this horse to probably manage a shade longer as her career unfolds.
Joanne, that was quite an impressive win coming from off the pace like that and swooping with a fast closing finish.
It really was. He came flying. The fractions 22-1, 45-2, 57-3 are a bit stiff, so it does usually set up for somebody from behind. A horse you might want to take a note down on, the number 10 Bright Magic, with the horse that was by Prize, the 20% sire. Maybe watch him the next time. You saw he was fourth. He kind of hung in there, got a little tired in the end. Didn't have the fastest works going in, but and was not bet on the board. But boy, did he run a good race today too.
Well, Garrett Gomez there. What's the process in America with you have all clear, not correct weight? When is that declared?
The weight is also in the entry time, the same time that they declare the jockey, the trainer enters the horse with any equipment changes, hopefully gelding changes, and the weight is put on the horses at that point.
We're looking at the American dividends. Heaven came down 1680, which that started at 7-1, I think, in the end on the latest betting figure, so it was a nice return. You mentioned it's nice track work earlier. They are $2 units. Now, Joanne, the next race comes our way from Golden Gate. What can you tell us about it?
Well, we're looking at the horses on the track right now. We're looking at a mile and a 16th, basically 1,700 meters for you. This is a turf race on the grass, and the Golden Gate turf course has a chute, which means that instead of starting on the straightaway or the turn, you're starting from kind of a finger that goes into the center of the racetrack. So this will be a chute start. Doesn't usually favor anybody unless you're way out in the 12 hole. Occasionally you might get hung a little wide before you go onto the main track. So let's look down at the post parade right now. We're getting a glance at some of the horses here. The number 12 Futuristic happens to be on the camera right now, and that happens to be the horse I'm picking at 6-1. Mark Glad is a 23% winning trainer. This horse has tried the turf grass 4 times before. Hit the board 3 of those 4 times. Very strong effort on the Golden Gate turf in January from 12 lengths back. I think this is a horse that likes the Golden Gate grass. One to watch at a price. 6-1 morning line, 9-1 on the board.
So we're going around on the turf in this upcoming race. The other interesting runner we mentioned earlier was number 7 Mateev in this upcoming race. And
I was going to say Mateev is the obvious logical horse in here. 11 turf tries, 5 on the board. Jeb Josephson, very good trainer up there. Dennis Carr, a rider that was in New York, came to San Francisco and seems to have carved out a niche for himself there. This horse has a very good close, good running down the lane. So the horse was right there in the last 2 at this level. I can see why he was made the morning line favorite at 3-1, but you're looking at, I believe, 6-1 out there on the board right now. Nobody is too heavily favored in here because it's a very tough wide open race, and you're seeing that on the board.
do you find
9-2 now.
Do you find that the turf races are more wide open with betting?
Not always, no. It's just this race happens to be a hotly contended race. You've got a lot of horses with a chance. As I said, I think the 3 best horses, the ones that would get my money if I were to bet it, would be the 7 Mateev, who we've already covered, the 12 Futuristic, who is my top horse at 9-1, just hoping that he rebounds to those good Golden Gate efforts. The other one I'm looking at, who's getting a little action out there, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the number 11, a King's Presence one. Steve Young is a trainer from Southern California. He didn't ship that horse up there because he wants the horse to take a long van ride. He shipped up there to get the money, and that's what they might do. Paul Atkinson is a rider from down here, Southern California, just moved up to San Francisco Bay Area about a week ago, and I would look for this horse shipping from Hollywood Park and Santa Anita, dropping down in class from allowance and 80,000 claiming. I would look for this horse to maybe run today. Watch the tote board, 7-1 now.
Now, Joanne, as you know, what you're saying, and these wonderful races from the West Coast are being beamed around Australia on Sky. A horse called Big Sky Russia will have Jake Barton in the saddle. What can you tell us about Jake? He has quite a history from Utah. He's 31 years of age and not a bad strike rate either.
Jake Barton was an apprentice that I watched years ago. Let's say he is much improved now as a journeyman rider. The trainer of Big Sky Rusher, Kent Jensen, we mentioned him earlier in the program. Very strong, 33% trainer. Big Sky Rusher is in for a $40,000 claim today. So if you had an owner's license and $40,000 in the bank, you might be the proud owner of Big Sky Rusher at the end of the race. This horse shipped in from Turf Paradise. The track we mentioned earlier is in Arizona. Probably comparable racing to Golden Gate, maybe a little inferior. The horse had 3 strong races in a row, has a good close from 2 lengths or so off the pace. You could see Big Sky Rusher rushing at the wire, but I'm not going to pick that one today. Is that the one you like?
Well, Big Sky Rusher is currently showing up at 13-1, so not that well fancy. Now, there is a state-bred supplement with this claiming. What does that mean exactly?
State-bred supplement, you need to supplement the horse to the race. You put up a little bit of money in order to get into the race. Same with some of the stakes you'll see. If the horse was not nominated, you have to pay a supplemental fee in order to get into that race. We're looking now, 4 minutes. Why don't we take a look at the horses on the track? We're getting a glance at the number 7, Mateev. Here, the number 4, Big Sky Rusher, who we just covered. There's an interesting horse in here at a price, the number 6, Wall Street Malone. The dirt races are very strong on this horse, but the turf races are not. Only one of them shows up. That was on a yielding turf. The other ones we can't pull up, so I don't know if it's just off tracks that hasn't made this horse fire in the past, but those dirt races could win it. But I still say the 7, Mateev, the 11, A King's Presence for Paul Atkinson and Steve Young, and the bottom horse, the 12, Futuristic, are probably the 3 main contenders in my way of handicapping. How do you guys see it?
Tony, I don't know what your thoughts are here. Another interesting one could be King of Swing from the Richard Mandela stable by Dixieland Band, a really good Northern Dancer horse.
Yeah, well, that's right. Dixieland Band, he's been a great influence. And again, another horse by Northern Dancer, King of Swing. Hasn't had a run since April, so his fitness is a bit of a query at this stage. But he's a horse that must come into contention. He's quite well fancied. He was 6-1 with the Morning Line, Brendan.
Yeah, interesting to see the current prices. Troyes and Adalberto Lopez at 9-2. It's remained firm. Mateev, the former European galloper, as we mentioned earlier, by Woodman. And this horse was placed in listed level in the Prix St. Patrick at Chantilly in June last year, formerly trained by Christine Head.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, that's all turf form, isn't it? And as Joanne mentioned earlier on, a horse bred to fly on the turf by Woodman out of a Nureyev mare. Another interesting runner here is number 11, A King's Presence, who we touched upon earlier. Of course, he's by Red Ransom, the horse that comes out here for Vinery when our breeding season starts in a few months.
And he's been one of the real success stories of American breeding for Vinery in Kentucky.
That's right, and he was a terrific horse too, Red Ransom. I think he had 3 starts and was unbeaten before he went amiss.
He's gone really well. Sri Pecan was a star juvenile of his in England, and his yearlings have sold well this year too. Post-time Golden Gate is due in about 2 minutes from now. The 7 is very, very firm at 5-2 in America, which is Mateev, the well-related galloper, and Joanne mentioned Wall Street Malone, a grandson of Private Account. As they head out to the start, still a reasonably wide-open race, this race coming up, Joanne.
It's very wide open, and if you're wondering who the speed is, look down the card. Who's Roberto Gonzalez on? It's not usually that easy, but he is on the speed in the number 3, Silver Lord, 23-3, 47 flat, usually on the turf. But he usually backs up after cutting out those fractions. He may get some pace pressure out there from the number 8, Brave Blues, who did go wire to wire last time in fractions of 23-1, 47 flat. So pretty much the same speed. Will both these guys use their horses? Probably. And if you see that, I would be looking for somebody to pick up the pieces down the lane. We talked about probably the 3 best in that lane. That would be the 7, Mateev, the 11, A King's Presence, and the 12, Futuristic.
Joanne, now, Golden Gate Fields, could you give us a brief outline on where it's located?
Golden Gate Fields is located right next to Berkeley, California, right on the San Francisco Bay. In fact, if you're sitting up in their turf club, you get a beautiful view of downtown San Francisco, across the bay, the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Prison. You've probably seen Clint Eastwood's Escape from Alcatraz. Very choppy water. They get some cool weather and high winds at Golden Gate, but it's a beautiful, beautiful spot.
Does look like a picturesque racecourse, that is for sure and certain. This race, 1 1/16 of a mile, 1,700 metres on the turf. They start in the chute, and Joanne, we'll let you pass on your final comments.
Okay, again, as I said, I think you're going to see the speed in the number 3 Silver Lord and probably the number 8 Brave Blues. Troy Sen, the number 2 horse, could sit just off that hotly contested pace with Adalberto Lopez for Chuck Jenda, another horse with a bit of a shot. We're seeing the number 6 Wall Street Malone going in the gate. I'll look for a closer in this one, guys. So why don't we take it up to the track announcer, Tony Kalo, as they load into the gate. They're taking the 7.
And here
Your
comes
horse,
the current
Mateev,
favorite,
in right now.
Next will be Brave Blues. Just Ruler. King of Swing. King's Presence. And Futuristic. Full field of 12 for today's feature. Wall Street Malone is acting up. Big Sky Rusher is quite anxious. Now King of Swing is acting up. Here they come. From the outside, a King's Presence is showing speed along with Troy Send, and Cornelius is there along with Brave Blues. Just Ruler with the green cap is to the outside. Silver Lord saves ground. Wall Street Malone only 2.5 from the front. And 2 clear from King of Swing, another length to Mateev. The last 3 are Big Sky Rusher, Futuristic, and Without Doubt. Into the clubhouse run, Brave Blues on the lead. 8 King's Presence is second. Troy Sen secures the rail in third. Just Ruler is fourth, 4 wide. Wall Street Malone to his inside. Cornelius saves ground in the pink. 2.5 from the front, and a length and a half clear from Silver Lord. Mateev is getting the rail running through the backstretch. He's only 4 lengths from the front, and a length clear from King of Swing. It's another 2.5 back to Big Sky Rusher, another 2 to Futuristic, and Without Doubt is the trailer opening quarter in 23 3. The half went in 48 1. And it's Troy Sen now to get the lead by more than a length and a half. Brave Blues is second. 8 King's Presence is third. Just Ruler to the far outside. Cornelius continues with the rail running. Wall Street Malone between runners. Mateev gets a ground-saving trip with Silver Lord to his outside. They have 5 lengths to make up on the leader, who remains Troy Sen. Then we'll go to King of Swing. Futuristic begins his charge from the back of the pack with Without Doubt and the trailer, Big Sky Rusher. Troy Sen has the lead at the top of the lane. Brave Blues is second. Cornelius is third. Mateev is along the inside. Then we go to Silver Lord. Far outside is Without Doubt. To his inside is Futuristic. But Troy Sen is opened up by better than 3. It's Troy Sen in the late stages with the lead. Futuristic into second. Troy Sen in front. He removed the blinkers and he wins by better than 2. Futuristic second, and Silver Lord was third.
Very, very strong run from the number 2 Troy Sen with Adalberto Lopez. Nobody to hold off really there. You did see the 12 Futuristic closing like the wind, but this horse tinkered along out there on the lead and ran off with it. The number 2 Troy Sen, one of the few horses in, actually only 2 of them in this optional claiming race that were up for sale, and the number 2 Troy Sen was one of them. You could have been the proud owner at $40,000.
Joanne, $40,000. Look at this, it just clears out with the nose roll on. What a good ride from Adalberto Lopez. 16% win strike rate. Horse came off a last start third. Before that, second beaten a length. Both the last 2 runs have been at Golden Gate. Previously trained by Bob Baffert before that. But clears out, as you can see. That's 2, 10 and 3. Troy Sen first. Second, the one we mentioned by Dixieland Band, King of Swing. And then number 3, which is Silver Lord, a Silver Ghost horse by Mr. Prospector. And its form has been all right as well. bred by Winbourne Farm, one of the most well-known farms in Kentucky. Now they're heading out at Hollywood Park for this upcoming race. We might take you through the full field before we head trackside. 5.5 furlongs optional claiming race, which is 1,100 metres, the journey for this race. And it's the 5th race we're showing you. It's the 7th from Hollywood Park. Jenna, Emil Ramasamy, 3-1. Valid Miss Pick is not running. Open Secret, 6-1. Dance the Night Away, well it did that, it's a scratching. Finally, this is a former Australian bred galloper, listed stakes winner in New Zealand. It's at 7-2 by Snardee, an Emirates Park stud horse, who's by Danzig. Tricky Band, 25-1. Royal Shyness, Corey Nakatani rides, it's 2-1. And L'Autremont, Chris McCarron, 7-2. Pentium Power, not the same as the Pentium Power who races in Sydney, 23-1. Joanne, let's take it back to you. Your thoughts on this upcoming race, a short course race?
Well, I know you're interested in knowing what everybody thinks on Finally, the New Zealand horse, actually Australian horse who raced in New Zealand. I'm wondering why they're taking this horse from route races and dropping him back to a sprint today. You've got a drop from stake allowance, $100,000 claimer in for 80 today. The horse seems to get the lead and give it up each time. Why are they shortening up? Maybe they're hoping he won't give it up if he gets near the lead at a shorter distance. So Finally, not without a shot. We're looking at the number 7, Tricky Band now, a horse trying the turf for the first time. Dixie Brass, only a 6% sire with horses trying the turf for the first time. Horse shipping in from Oaklawn Park in Arkansas and Prairie Meadows in Iowa. That's one to watch the tote on, and you're looking at 25-1. Probably not today. The number 9, L'Autremont, I'm sure you guys can pronounce that better than I can. One start on the turf, one time on the board. Ted West, very sharp trainer. You mentioned Chris McCarron earlier, one of our best turf riders. This horse has speed, 21-2, 43-3 on the turf. May not get out there on her own today, may have a little bit of contending speed with the number 1, Gina for Steve Young. This is another horse that goes 21-2, 43-4. So you could see the 1 Gina and the 9 L'Autremont out on the lead.
Okay, Joanne, we might take a short break. We've had a brief look at the runs, and gee, Finally looks a lot like its sire Snardee, that real dark colour with the prominent white marking. You're watching Trackside USA. Joanne Jones, Tony Brassell, myself. I hope you're enjoying our debut coverage. We'll be fresh up from the break after this.
Join us.
Thanks for joining us on our coverage of live American racing. Brendan Parnell with you. We call it Trackside USA, and I hope you're enjoying what we've dished up so far. I know Tony Brassell's having a great time. I know the sectionals are always one of your favourites, and gee, they've been flying along.
Well, they fly through these races, don't they, Brendan? One thing to consider, though, with these fast fractions is that the timer doesn't go off until these horses are at a full gallop, which is very different to the situation here. The clock goes on as soon as the gates open, but as I understand, we might be able to bounce this off Joanne. I think the horses take a few strides before they're actually starting that clock.
Well, speaking of Joanne, live from Hollywood Park. Joanne, how are you enjoying your debut with us at Sky around Australia?
Well, I'm enjoying it. I just need to give you guys a winner here. Maybe I've got one in the 7th race at Hollywood Park. I'd like to take a look at the number 3 horse. Maybe we could go out on the track. The number 3, Open Secret for the Eclipse Stable. Former Hollywood Park attorney, that is, Neil Papiano. Open Secret, very good chance in here. Shipped in from England and Ireland. A lot of times these horses that ship in from Europe get very rank and they're hard to place when they come run for the first time or two in the United States. That's exactly what happened to Open Secret. She was very difficult to place. She was checking and steadying and fighting the whole way in her first 2 starts. 3rd start, the last start in the U.S., she got it right. She was beaten only a neck. If she can repeat that effort, she could be the winner today. 7-2 on the morning line. You're looking at a whopping 6-1 out on the board right now. Boy, if only I could get to a window myself right now.
Okay, well, did you like a minute or two to go to the window?
Actually, I would, but well, I better stick here.
Now, tell us a little bit more about Finally. Has there been much in the way of wraps around for Finally on the track today?
Wraps around?
It was fun.
This
Apart
is an
from all the
Australian
good
term.
oil, tell us a bit about Finally's trainer. We don't know too much about this horse's mentor.
And you're not even going to try to pronounce that one, are you? Mike Pipey. Pipey is how you pronounce it. He's a good horseman. He's got Finally, I'm sure, in good condition. I wouldn't be worried there. My question is, why does this horse give up every time he hits the lead? That's why I think they're dropping him from route races back to 5.5 furlongs in a sprint today, because if he gets that lead, maybe they're thinking he'll be able to hold on to it, or she, I should be saying, because she is a mare. So does have some races that can do it. Maybe she'll be able to hold on at 5.5.
Joanne, this race is an $80,000 claiming race. How big do these races actually get in terms of prize money?
I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat that?
The prize money for this claiming race is $80,000. Now, how big do these claiming races get in terms of prize money?
Well, your average day, like today, you'll probably see 12,500, maybe around the 20, 25,000, 40,000 range. It's rare when you see the 100,000, 125 and up, but you do see those, and occasionally you'll have somebody come in, claim a horse for 100,000 and go on to win a stake with it. But your norm is probably between 10,000 and 40,000 on an average day.
I suppose the great example of a claiming horse not being claimed is Charismatic, the horse going for the Triple Crown, eh?
Oh boy, yes. In fact, Ray Bell, who used to train that horse, went to D. Wayne Lucas before the race, offered him more money than the horse was in for a claiming tag for the horse, and he said, no, I'm sorry, the horse isn't for sale. Then lo and behold, Charismatic comes in for a tag. Everybody must have backed off the horse. In fact, I know one trainer, Mike Mitchell, had his claim slip filled out for Charismatic, got the jitters or something got him to not do it, but he didn't take the horse, or maybe he would have had a Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner.
Joanne, I know you're a big fan of quality horse flesh. None come better than Royal Academy, who was a Breeders' Cup winner and a $3.5 million yearling. He has Royal Shyness as one of his progeny here.
Royal Shyness, yes indeed. Number 8 horse owned by Hollywood Park's owner, for the time being at least, R.D. Hubbard, trained by Richard Mandela. Corey Nakatani, I mentioned earlier, one of our best turf riders here. This horse has also had only 3 U.S. starts, was running in England enlisted in group races. Some very strong workouts in the last month and a half. The horse has been on the sidelines. We are looking at 59-2 for 5 furlongs. Some very brisk and quick works. I would give Royal Shyness a big shot in here.
Okay, we've got the good jock on board in Corey Nakatani. Charismatic going around early tomorrow, our time, which I suppose is tomorrow your time for that shot at Triple Crown Glory. Now, the latest betting figures here. The 8's nice and firm, isn't it, Royal Shyness?
Royal Shyness, the number 8, is the 7-5 favorite right now. You're looking at 7-2 on the 1. Gina, the horse with a bit of speed, had a very strong last race for Steve Young, very sharp trainer, and Emil Ramsamy. Horses are going up to the gate right now, and why don't we throw it up to the announcer's booth to Michael Rona, as he calls them in.
Are working on Pentium Power, but I'm not sure what they're adjusting. The filly's obscured by the gate.